All right, welcome to another edition of OnPrem Pros. I'm your host, Ryan Brown, and today we're going to be talking VMware pricing of the new modules. And with me today, I have Solutions Architect for xByte Technologies, Mr. Josh Moss. Josh, welcome.
Thanks. Good morning.
Good morning. And so today we're going to show you guys a web page that goes through all the pricing. So walk you through the pricing, and then at the end we're going to walk you through a really cool tool that will show you how to do all the price comparisons, not only between the different packages, but even different scenarios. And then after we've shown you that tool, we'll be able to provide you a way to be able to download that and have your own copy of that. So stay tuned for that. And Josh, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you, and I'll bring on that Veeam pricing. So if you're wondering, here's the link that we're going to be showing you. And with this link, you don't have to write it down right now. It's very long. But one of the VMware partners, Veeam, they went and did a blog with the MSRP pricing. And so we'll include this in the notes, so you can go ahead and click on it from there, both on YouTube and our blog. But here it is, just in case you want to pause it, write it down and try it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this and then bring on that pricing page so Josh can go over it.
Yeah, so what we see here is the packages that we discussed in the last video. Starting from the top, VCF or VMware Cloud Foundation, vSphere Foundation Standard, and then Enterprise Plus. The second column that we have there is the per core MSRP. And one thing to note, as is noted in the blog once you read it, is that those are the ACV or annual contract values. So basically for VCF, that's 350 per core per year. You can do 1, 3, or 5 year terms. The pricing is pretty standard across those various terms, so you can just multiply that out times 3 or times 5. But yeah, and again, these are MSRP, so definitely work with your VAR or reseller to try and get the best pricing that you can. Another thing that I really wanted to note as well is there is a minimum of 16 cores. So let's say you have a single server that has dual 8-core processors. What you would have to do is license 16 cores per processor. So that's one interesting thing that is also noted within the blog, but it's a very important, very important thing that can definitely be overlooked.
And we'll go into this in the tool. So, and it's an important point that Josh has brought up for everyone looking at this. So when you see the pricing, and Josh mentioned, this is a 1-year pricing to use for comparisons, but if you're doing a 3-year commit, you're paying 3 times that upfront. So just remember that as you're thinking about your budgets, that yes, this is annual pricing you're looking at, but you'd be paying for whatever your commit is, you'd be paying for that upfront.
Yeah, exactly. And with cost in mind, properly sizing out servers and looking at the various single and dual socket options that you have for servers, it really brings up a good opportunity to reevaluate how you used to do things. As I mentioned, you could do dual 8s and have to pay for 32 cores of licensing, or you could potentially look at a single 16 core processor as well. And given the legacy licensing model to where you get one socket license up to 32 cores, at that point it why not get a 32 core processor just because it's already licensed. But yeah, with the per core model that we're now introduced with, you really have to properly size out clusters, properly get the right amount of sockets, right amount of cores. And to that end, Live Optics is a great tool for properly sizing out clusters, if you're looking at a refresh, in the near future.
Now, if you are running your own existing cluster, here is a knowledge base article from VMware. And in this is a PowerShell script, and it'll help you for existing clusters. It'll help you with your pricing for that. So look at that again. You can pause and write it down if you want to, the URL, or we'll include it in the notes. You can look at it from YouTube or our blog, and you can see that. So I'm going to bring this out, and right now I'm going to go ahead and zoom out so you guys can see it better. So this is a tool that we created, and we wanted to make it easy for people to be able to kind of plug in their number of servers they had, the CPUs they had per server, as well as the cores. And as Josh was talking about, you'll see here in the current pricing, and we'll get into comparison in a second here. Here's the current pricing. And so if you're doing VMware standard, you're looking at, okay, hey, here's my cores per CPU. Now, if I were to increase this to 16, what you're going to see is there's going to be no difference in the pricing. As Josh mentioned, VMware does a minimum of 16 cores. So even if you have only 8, you're still paying your VMware licensing. So if you're looking at a server configuration and it's not that expensive to go up to 16 cores, make that investment, because at least from a VMware standpoint, you're going to be paying for that regardless. Another thing you're looking at is from Essentials Plus. So the interesting things here is that if for lower end servers, definitely can do these comparisons, because so here's comparison, and we'll go ahead and we'll give it a couple of scenarios for us. So I'm going to go ahead and click on compare one, and that's going to take all of our values and store it into our compare one field. Now I can play around with this, and I can say, hey, if I only wanted, I can either type in or use little arrows. So if I wanted to do a 32 words in there, what does my pricing look like? So I'm looking at this, and I can see, okay, here's what standard looks like compared to this pricing. And I can see how all that compares. Here's my existing scenario versus this scenario. And you can see here, because it's per 16 cores, 132 or 216s is going to be exactly the same pricing. You can also see that standard still, you're not coming up with that Essentials Plus. Essentials Plus, as Josh pointed out, commits you to the 96 cores. So for better or for worse, you're committed to that. It's inexpensive. So if we were to do one, I know this exists, but a 96 core, you can see here, this is going to be more expensive because this one you're pre-committing to the Essentials Plus. So if I want to do some comparisons, you can see here, all I have to do is make these comparisons, and I can see different scenarios. So here's my 96 core. Here's my 216s. It gives me this information. If I even wanted to, I could store that into another one, and I could say, hey, let me do a pricing out this one where we're doing 2 CPUs here, and maybe I want to do 16 here because I have more clusters. I want to see what that looks like. And you can, another thing to look at is now in our current, you'll see that NA pops up for the Essentials Plus because of the fact that that Essentials Plus is capped at just 3 servers. So there's a great little tool here that allows you to do any of these comparisons, multiple scenarios, and you can see you can hit the make current button and it'll bring this to current, and you can kind of make some edits if you want to and play around with this. The top 3 things are what matters most. Now, as you get into some of your options, if I'm getting into vSAN, I'm going to get it. Then if I do that, if I click on that option, current, you see there's no pricing because I haven't put in any capacity disks. Josh, why don't you go into a little bit on the different configurations and why we termed capacity disks and not just disks per server?
Yeah. So the reason for that is vSAN licensing is now it's either bundled, 1 terabyte per core that you license with VCF, or if you're doing vSphere Foundation, you get 100 gigabyte per core. So if you're an ESA, all you have is capacity disks. So effectively, you just have to license the total sum of all your capacity disks that are claimed by vSAN. So if you're an OSA, you don't have to factor in the amount of space that the cache disk, because it is not used for capacity. And one key note there, we've got it listed here in terabyte TB. The way they do it is actually by terabyte, but the calculations are done on the background.
I believe we looked at it. You divide it by 1.1 to get to the VMware.
Yep, exactly.
One thing I didn't mention in the very beginning, there's an MSRP tab here, which is where you plug in that pricing. So if you want to plug in different pricing, you can do that on your own once you've downloaded your copy of this. So it's nice. One thing to note, if you download it, there are macros, which is how you do the compare buttons and the clear buttons and such. If you do that, if you don't want to, for security reasons, enable macros, it's fine. You can still run the current pricing; it'll do all of that. It is just the compare buttons or the make current, the buttons or any of these sliders which require the macros. Actually, I don't even think these require macros. It's just the buttons themselves that do the copy to the different cells. So just let you guys know that from a security standpoint. And then Site Recovery Manager, that matters to the number of VMs that you're protecting. And so that's why there's a VMs if you want to enable that option as well. So a lot of different tools, and you could take this, make it your own, whatever. And we just want to do a little bit of a mention here. It is sponsored by the 3 main companies underneath the xByte family. So xByte Solutions, xByte Technologies, and xByte Cloud. And so, Josh, I'm going to go ahead and pull it off the screen for a second here. Is there, before we give everyone the ability to download, is there anything else you want to add? Any final words for everybody?
Yeah, we understand that there's a lot of changes going on. Budgets are being consumed with more software. So you can definitely let us know how we can help. We can help rein in the hardware side of it, help talk through alternatives and such. Yeah, just let us know how we can help you.
All right, thank you very much for joining us, Josh. For those who want, here is the link. So one of the sister companies, xByte Cloud, has been nice enough to host the page for you guys. So you can go ahead and pause the video now. You can go to www.xbytecloud.com/forms/VMware-calculator, and you'll be able to download your copy of the calculator we just went through. So everybody, thank you guys. This is Ryan Brown with Josh Moss. I did it again. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Bye.